One of the real fears and dangers in the context of Project 2025 and a potential second Donald Trump term is that whatever restraint existed in Trump's first term when it came to getting total and complete loyalist yes men and yes women in Trump's cabinet and around him would be completely removed and unrestrained. And indeed, we have now learned, thanks to an extraordinarily disturbing Axios report, that there is a pre-screening taking place right now of loyalists for what is being described as an unprecedented power grab. This is an extraordinarily dangerous situation. The report is by Jim Vandehei and Mike Allen of Axios, and it outlines exactly what we've been in fear of, exactly what we've been expecting. Let's take a look. Former President Trump's allies are pre-screening the ideologies of thousands of potential foot soldiers as part of an unprecedented operation to centralize and expand his power at every level of the U.S. government if he wins in 2024. Hundreds of people are spending tens of millions of dollars to install a pre-vetted pro-Trump army of up to 54,000 loyalists across government to rip off the restraints imposed on the previous 46 presidents. If you think you know the extent of this, you probably don't. The screening for ready-to-serve loyalists has already started, driven in part by AI from tech giant Oracle. Social media histories are being plumbed. When Trump took office in 2017, he included many conventional Republicans in his cabinet and key positions. Those officials often curtailed his behavior and power. Trump himself spends little time plotting governing plans, but he is well aware of a highly coordinated campaign to be ready to jam government offices with loyalists willing to stretch the traditional boundaries. If Trump were to win, thousands of Trump first, it's not America first, it's Trump first loyalists would be ready for legal, judicial, defense, regulatory, and domestic policy jobs. His inner circle plans to purge anyone viewed as hostile to the hard-edged authoritarian-sounding plans that he calls Agenda 47. This also is sort of overlapped and intertwining with the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. So here's the critical part to understand. There's Trump's cabinet. In Trump's cabinet in his first term, there were some slightly more restrained people. Rex Tillerson, for example. And I'm not praising these people. I'm just saying they were slightly more restrained. This is crazy to say because he's such a warmonger, but John Bolton was not willing to do anything that Trump wanted. He was willing to do some things, but not anything. So you've got the cabinet, but this is not about the cabinet. This is about actually taking over the entire departments of the federal government normally staffed by career federal government employees. A lot of these folks, if you work in the State Department, if you work as a career Defense Department employee, you might have personal politics, you might not. Some of them are apolitical, some of them vote, some don't vote. But the point is, these are career officials who understand, I am here in a non-political role. I am here regardless of whether the person in the White House is a Republican or a Democrat or some third party, if it ever becomes a real possibility. And those are the people that Donald Trump wants to replace and instead install partisan, outrageous extremists to really reshape and take over huge aspects of what are often non-political elements of the government. This is Steve Bannon loves this. People like Steve Bannon, when they talk about, we're going to deconstruct the administrative state. When folks talk about, we'll get rid of the Department of Education and we're going to get rid of the IRS and all these different things. Getting rid of them is not very realistic. But the possibility of completely taking them over with unhinged loyalists, that's not an impossibility. And so when we think about voting in November and we think about, well, what action can I take? What's my list of possible actions? I can vote for the Republican nominee. I can vote for the Democratic nominee. I can write in someone else. I can vote for a third party candidate. I can stay home. I can encourage others to stay home or encourage others to vote. When we think about all of our actions, we really need to keep 2016 in mind and the Supreme Court picks that could have been Hillary Clinton's instead of Trump's, and how we would still have Roe v. Wade if that were the case. And then we need to say, which action gets us closer to another 4 years of Trump or DeSantis, although it's looking unlikely, or Nikki Haley? And is that an action that I'm comfortable taking? Is that an action that I'm going to feel able to defend depending on what happens? I know where I am. And it's really important to understand that there is a contingent of the left that will say, David, that's centrism. David, that's establishment hackery. We're not going to get the revolution we need with that sort of thinking. Well, remember, I'm not an accelerationist. Sometimes people write in, people write to me, they say, David, look at all these socialists who are furious with you for what you're saying. Don't you feel a need to respond to them? No, I'm not a socialist and I'm not an accelerationist. I believe that history has shown that the biggest progressive victories come on the heels of incrementalism. Oh, but David, that's not sexy. That's not hot. That's not going to make Tucker Carlson hot like the M&Ms used to make him. Right. But I care about reality. You look at the progressive era, you look at the New Deal era, you look at the civil rights era. Those are the three biggest, I don't know if I call them eras literally, but those are the biggest three eras of real progressive change. And they came over a couple of decades in many cases based on who's on the Supreme Court. And who's on the Supreme Court is based on who was elected president a few years before, and Supreme Court decisions, and then lawsuits and activism. That's the way that we've achieved success. So yeah, I understand that when I say, what's the path to making sure that it is not Trump, but Joe Biden or whoever that gets to make Supreme Court decisions. I understand some people go, David, that's nonsense. That's not going to really fix the problems we have. We need to burn it all down and vote third party, even if it's going. You can do that. It's just a different view. And my view is that history has proven that when we elect the right people and prevent the wrong people from getting in, we actually do make progress. It's sometimes slower than we would like. It's sometimes not as exciting as some would desire. But the choice for 2024 is clear. They've got the list. They're pre-screening the people now. So I'm going to be doing the thing I can defend and feel good about. Everybody's free to make their own decisions for sure.